So we just crossed Sandy River, and now we're coming up shortly to a Pacific Crest Trail junction. Interestingly enough, there's no right or wrong way to go. A lot of people like to do Ramona Falls hike, 7 miles, 1,100 feet as a loop. So you pick one way, come back the other way. That's certainly a way to go. I think the general consensus is the path to the left is more beautiful. The path to the right is a little bit more of a horse trail. So you could argue you're going to get more beauty if you go to the left, treat it as an out and back, and come back that way. So the question is, would you rather go through the more beautiful section twice, there and back? Would you rather be seeing new scenery each time and do a loop, understanding that half of the loop is a horse trail that's a lot less beautiful? Classic hiker's conundrum. I'm actually leaning towards going left at Pacific Crest Trail Junction and actually treating it more like an out and back than a loop. I think I'd rather get the more beautiful section twice than the horse trail. I've done so many meadowy horse trails in my hiking, and they don't really do much for me aesthetically. Typically, you have to walk across the minefield that is their poop, not to be vulgar. And typically the views just aren't as good because they've had to clear the area to make room for the horses. So I'll take the more carefully groomed forest path with the beauty amped up twice over the obstacle course poop horse section. I could be exaggerating how much poop there is. I do not know, but some of the trails I do in Central Oregon that are dual-use horse trails have so much poop that every little while you have to pay attention to it. So try to avoid having to get in that headspace. So that's my thought process. Do what you want. I know a lot of people are. Actually, I've always found it interesting. There's a school of hiking thought that wants to turn everything into a loop. I've noticed this with some people. They have a visceral dislike of the redundancy of doing the same section twice. So they try to do everything as loop, so you're always kind of going forward and always seeing new topography every step. And that's like a comfort zone for them. I'm not knocking it, I get it, but that is not my mentality. It's kind of funny when you look at AllTrails, different states. Sometimes you'll see clearly out and backs that have been redesigned into a loop. It doesn't really make any navigational sense other than trying not to be an out and back. So those make me chuckle a little bit. I love me a good loop, but I want the loop to actually make navigational sense. You know, like, great example is Olympic National Park, the Seven Lakes Loop over at Olympic National Park. See, that is a perfect loop. That makes sense. You gotta do a loop to see the lakes. But if you just take an out and back and hang wide in either direction just to turn it into a loop or a lollipop, I don't really get the point of that. But to each his or her own. Not to throw shade on my fellow hikers, but I believe in navigational efficiency. And I like out and back just as much as a loop.